The Water Services Entities Bill is now before Parliament's Finance and Expenditure Select Committee, but the opposition to it shows no signs of letting up. Well, let's get to NBR's political editor, Brent Edwards. Thanks for coming in, Brent. So the Auditor-General is also critical of the bill. What are his concerns?
Look. His main concerns is that these new water services entities are not going to be Crown entities. Therefore, there's no real accountability through Parliament in that sense, the Crown entities report. And, of course, they're not going to be local authorities. So in the sense of the way the Auditor-General's office audits and holds local authorities to account for their kind of long-term planning and spending and the like, that's not available too. So what he's saying is the accountability measures and the measures for auditing these new organisations are less clear. And so he's made a series of recommendations to clarify that, to strengthen the accountability and to strengthen the ability of his office to audit them.
What does he want, though? Does he want the bill dropped?
No, and some of the, I suppose, he made actually, it's interesting, at the Select Committee, he made mention of some of the news media coverage of his written submission, which suggested that he was opposed to the legislation. He made it clear he wasn't opposed to it. As he said, it's not his job to either support or oppose legislation. It was just to comment on so he's got a series of recommendations, and he was very clear in answers to questions from National's local government spokesperson, Simon Watts, that he believed the committee itself could make the changes he suggested and improve the bill and still have those water services entities set up and running.
Will there be any changes to the bill?
Look, that's going to be interesting. I mean, I think it's likely actually that some of the suggestions that the Auditor-General has made will be picked up and that there will be some strengthening around those accountability measures and the like. But of course, you had other submitters too. I mean, largely a number of local councils, but not all, and federated farmers, for instance, very, very opposed to legislation, just saying it should be scrapped, paused, put on hold. It's not the way to deal with the problems. But the Select Committee is not going to accept that, but I think they can pick up some of the Auditor-Generals. Interesting submission from Eric Crampton, the Chief Economist for the New Zealand Initiative, speaking on behalf of the Local Government Business Forum, and saying the whole point of this has been setting up these water services entities is to take the debt off the books of local councils, because most councils can't afford to borrow the amount of money. They can't borrow the money they need to invest in infrastructure. And he says, that's balance sheet separation and the like, but he said it's possible you could make some more minor reforms to allow councils to set up revenue bonds off the balance sheet to raise that sort of money. So he's arguing there are other ways, simpler ways, he says, to allow investment in that Three Waters infrastructure rather than setting up what he said was a convoluted system.
Any support for his idea?
Well, I think certainly on the opposition side of the committee, the National Party MPs and ACT MP Simon Court, I mean, they oppose this legislation. They've been very clear about that from the start. So a lot of support from them, and I think also probably from those other councils, federated farmers and others who say it's not necessary to completely restructure that organisation and take it away from councils, that you can leave it in council hands. Maybe a number of councils could get together to do their water service, as we've seen, say, in the way that the Auckland Council previously was, a number of councils came together and it's got water care services. A lot of argument and debate about that, but it seems clear the government is committed to setting up these new water services entities. Can't see that changing, but as I say, perhaps some of the recommendations from the Auditor-General will be put into effect to make those lines of accountability clearer.
Brent Edwards, thanks for joining us.